It was wonderful to see that an over the board event took place. It was not in India. It was successfully completed. It took place in Bangladesh, the Bangladesh Chess Premier League. And when this tournament was happening, a lot of Indian players got very excited because they could finally play over the board chess. So you had Adhiban, Surya Ganguly, Raunak Sadhwani, Gukesh, Arjun Erigaisi, a lot of good Indian players going there and playing. And it was very nice to follow this entire event. In the end, it was won by Bangladesh Police. As you can see, the team here has two Indian players over there. Second from left is Raunak Sadhwani, and you also have Surya Ganguly. There's also Mohammad Fahad Rahman, youngster, over there. There's also Ziaur Rahman, the well-known, next to Surya, the well-known Bangladeshi GM. And there's also Abdullah Al Rakib, who's also a very strong Bangladeshi GM. So a great result for Raunak, Ganguly and the entire team. But of course, Raunak's performance was tremendous. He scored 8 out of 10. And just to give you an idea of how well he played, so these are the the performance list. And Raunak gained 10 ELO points at 2545. So he's now 2555 FIDE ELO. And he played really well in this tournament, scoring 8 points out of 10. So we're going to look at two of Raunak's games. I asked him after the event, like, which are the two most favorite games of yours? And he said it was against two Indian players, both very strong, Neelotpal Das and Dhulipala Bala Chandra Prasad. So I'm going to show you those two games, and along with me, you have to guess the moves, okay? So let's begin. In the first game, Raunak is white and he opens the game with 1c4. The thing that I have noticed in Raunak's games is the energy of the pieces. The pieces in his games start moving from one end to the other very quickly. And that is because of the way he plays. His play is very tactical. It's backed by, brave moves. So we are going to notice a lot of that. E5, knight to c3, knight f6, knight f3, knight c6. We have the 4 knights English. d3 is not the most ambitious way, but Raunak is saying, well, it's a reverse Sicilian and I'm a tempo up. So he plays e4, kind of the Sveshnikov, and you can't, if knight d b4 you're trying to play like the Sveshnikov, I've already played d3, so I can push you back instantly. So it doesn't work. So you went knight f6 back, h3, so d4 is slightly weak, so you don't want bishop g4 taking out this knight. So he played h3, g6, bishop e3, bg7, bishop e2, castles, all very standard stuff. Knight to h5. Now Neelotpal Das is a well-known grandmaster from West Bengal, very experienced, and he says now Raunak cannot play d4 anymore. Secondly, I am looking at the f4 square. So Raunak said, okay, never mind, I'm going to play queen d2. And here is where I believe Neelotpal went knight d4, still completely fine. I like Raunak's next move, bishop d1. The point being that, you don't want to touch the knight right now. Also, you don't want to give up the bishop. So bishop sits on d1. Later, it could jump to b3 or a4. And this is where I feel Neelotpal lost his patience and played the move f5. He could have continued bishop e6 maybe, or even b6 is what I thought was pretty okay with bishop b7, and white is maybe slightly better, but nothing out of the ordinary. The moment he went f5, Raunak, now you can see the energy in his pieces. First bishop g5 hitting the queen. Queen went to d6, and now white to play. What would you play? So be with me. Try to guess Raunak's moves in order so that you become stronger as chess players. Absolutely, knight takes d4, and all of a sudden you will realize that black is in big trouble. The one reason is the bishop is very strongly placed here, not that way, this way. The other bishop is coming here, is going to be very strong, and the knight is jumping towards the center. So all in all, it's a very, very dangerous position for black. So he took with the pawn. Even if he took with the queen, I think after knight d5 check, knight d5, you are in for some trouble. c7 is hanging, and it's not so easy to play this. Let's say if you go c6 in such a position, then already you can trap the queen with bishop e3. Queen or a4 is not possible. The bishop controls that square, so that's how dangerous it is. So he took with the pawn, knight d5, and now already a threat here, bishop e7. So he played rook to f7. Now if knight f6, I want you to tell me what is the best move for white here. Come on, think and let me know how should white win this. There are many ways to win, but one of them is clearly the most superior. Yes, bishop f4, a little bit of a backward move, hitting the pawn on c7, and you win it. Also, if you found e5, kudos, nice move by the way, because if queen d5, there is bishop b3, and otherwise if you take on e5, I can play rook e1. Oops, I can play rook e1, queen d6, and eventually bishop f4. It leads to the same idea. Okay, so he went rook f7. He felt like, okay, this is protected now. If bishop f4 is right now controlled. And once again, Raunak plays a beautiful move. So guys, white to play, what would you play here? Yes, bishop b3, if you came up with this move, it's a possible move, but not the best, because after bishop e6, black is still fighting. If you played rook e1, kudos, that's the best move in the position. Although the move that was played by Raunak, and I personally feel it's amazing move, is knight to f4. Fantastic move. It also takes control of the e6 square. So now bishop b3 is a big threat over here. So Neelotpal said, okay, let me get rid of this knight. Bishop takes, queen here. And now Raunak plays the move rook e1. Really nice move. Takes rook e4, bishop f5, rook e1. And in this position, I was very, very surprised to see that actually black is lost, utterly lost. And I try to think as to why is that the case. Because if you see, the material is completely even. You have two bishops here, both sides have 6 pawns, both sides have 2 rooks and a queen. So what is the reason why black is lost here? Well, if you look carefully, then the black position has more weaknesses, and white's bishops are more active in the actual sense. It's not just, see, this bishop is active, but it's hitting a pawn. This bishop is also good, f5-1, but it's not doing much. While the white bishop is much more active, white bishops, in this manner. And also chess is sometimes a weird game. You don't really understand why certain things are the way they are. Now, so bishop e6 was played, just to give you, and this was a mistake by the way, just to give you an idea, after king h8, how does white continue his advantage? So first he goes bishop b3, hitting the bishop. Now if you go rook d7, there's this move g4 which traps the bishop. This is one key element. Rook f8 may be played. Now I go rook e7, 7th rank, rook c8, trying to defend this pawn. And then I go rook e1, and you will see so much activity here. g4 coming up next. It's really bad for black. Okay, so bishop e6, and now is your chance to play like Raunak. White to play. What would you play? It's a beautiful tactical move. What would you play here? So you might think of take here and bishop b3, which is a good idea. However, after queen d7, black is still fighting on. What Raunak did was he played bishop c7. And the thing is, if you take here, now I take and bishop b3, and the queen is pinned to the king. There's no rook in between. That rook was deflected to c7. If you take with the queen, what happened in the game? Then he takes rook f8, bishop b3, pinning, king h8, coming back, and then eventually doubling your pawn up. And also, it's not just a pawn up. Now you're going to start rolling these pawns. Also, your bishop is more active here. It's a totally dominant position. And Raunak converts this very well. I also like this next move by Raunak, which was, he wants to go g3 and f4, but he realized that g3 is met with g5, stopping it. So he went first h4, stopping that. And when Neelotpal went g6, h6, he went g3. The point is he will get f4, but now the black king is more weak. So queen e2, queen g4, f4, d3. Now you don't want to be taking this bishop because there's queen d4 check followed by some attack here. So therefore king g2, good move. Bishop b2, rook h1, threatening all sorts of attack. Take here, king takes. If you take with the queen, you will lose the g5 pawn. So therefore he took with the king, check, and g takes h6. Now this is a checkmate which cannot be stopped, and therefore Neelotpal Das resigned. A beautiful game by Raunak. I really liked how there was a lot of energy in his pieces. It's one of those games where after seeing it, you realize, wow, that was very straightforward, but it was not so easy to execute. Okay, let's go to the second game very quickly. This is a shorter one and also a very beautiful one. This is between Raunak Sadhwani and Dhulipala Bala Chandra Prasad, who is a very good player from India. And Dhulipala Bala Chandra Prasad, I know him as one of the experts in London system from white. But anyway, today he's black. Raunak opens with 1 e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, a6, and we have the d3 Ruy Lopez. There was this book where I had read that if you start with castles, bishop e7, d3, this might be more accurate move order because the bishop is already committed here. If you play d3 on move 5, then it can allow black to develop his bishop on g7. This is what Dhulipala did. And I think black has a nice opening position. However, Raunak is like, who cares? I mean, opening is just another thing in the game. I'll just play my normal developing moves. Bishop c2, d5, knight d2. And here I think once again, just like how Neelotpal rushed in with f5, so did Dhulipala Bala Chandra Prasad. He rushed in with d4. I think he should have been patient. Maybe h6 is a possible move. Maybe bishop b7 is possible. All in all, white does have nice ideas like a4 and so on. Maybe he can transfer his knight here. There are many possibilities, but the move d4 was too soon. And you will see that many times what happens with Raunak is that because he plays a little bit provocatively, his opponents then try to lunge at him, and then a lot of weaknesses are created. You see this weakness is going to haunt black now. Knight d7, rook c1 looking here. So bishop b7, and now bishop comes to b3. It's beautiful diagonal. Beautiful diagonal here. So now knight c e5, and this is what Dhulipala was playing for. He said, I have the e5 square. It's a very important one. Raunak said, sorry, you don't have the e5 square. I'll take, and now came a nice move. I was considering knight f3 here, and I thought you fight for that e5 square. But Raunak was like, no, I'm just going very direct. He took here, and now he takes with the rook. If he had taken with the bishop, I believe Raunak's idea was to play f4. Very, very powerful move. And then after takes here, I want you to find the move here. What should white play to win the game? It's actually a great, strong move. Take. King takes. And now rook f1. If g5, then g3. And it's the black king which is more weak than the white one. Okay. So therefore, he took on e5, he was taken by the rook, and now came the move f4, pushing the rook back. The rook went backwards, e5, gaining more space. G5 was played, and this is where I want you to again think a bit, try to figure out what would you do here as white. Many good moves, many good moves. In fact, there's so many good moves here, like knight e4 is very interesting. There's also queen h5, the queen is jumping in. It's a beautiful way to continue. Raunak went very direct, he went e6. I was wondering, like, what is his idea? And it's again one of those things where after GF was played in the game, but if FE, I believe he might go knight f3, G takes f4, knight g5. See, his pieces have that zing. Bishop d5, queen h5, threatening on h7, h6, knight e6, bishop e6, rook e6, and already white is clearly better here because his bishop is much better. Can go to e4, queen g6. It's a strong attack. So okay, he went gf, e takes f7, king h8, queen g4, queen went to d6, and now here once again, what would you play here as white? I was trying to think here what is the best way, and the first thing that struck my mind was, can we take, and queen e6 here, trying to exchange the queens, because after take c7 is a big weakness, and if you play c6 there is knight to b3 looking here. However, Raunak's way was very unique as well. He went rook e6. I like it. After take, he wanted to do the same thing. He wanted to get the queens exchanged and then move in with his rook. Dhulipala said, if I go to b4, what is the problem that I will face? I mean, it looks like a good move. I'm attacking your knight. My rook is defended just in case. And here Raunak stunned the world with a beautiful move. Try to find it. White to play. What would you do here? Very nice move. Okay, queen f4 is a winning move, but Raunak played the move rook g6. And whenever you place a piece on a square that is not, that is guarded by a pawn, it's always beautiful. Because if you take, there is check, bishop h6 and mate. So therefore, here after rook g6, f3 had to be played. Well, if you play queen d2, I have rook g7. If you take on c1, I have king h2. There's no way to stop this checkmate. So therefore, he had to play in this position. The move rook g6 takes on g7 was very cool. He played f3, take on g7, f2, king h2. And this is where Dhulipala resigned. A great win for Raunak. He played excellent chess, gained 10 ELO points. He's of course one of the brightest stars of Indian chess. His rating is now 2555, and wishing him the best. Guys, do write some good comments for him and his play. This is Sagar Shah signing off. Bye bye.